I'm not getting racial here. I'm just making an observation. Here we go again with this guy, Lucas.
History of this country has ever said, hey, you should have guilt for something that you did not do. But what we will say is, hey, you are in a position of power to atone and make amends and make reparations for the harm that your ancestors caused this group of people. That's where they don't like that. They don't like as far as any type of accountability, which I find ironic because they constantly keep on telling black people, oh, accountability, responsibility. And it's like, historically, you guys have never had accountability. Historically, you guys have never had any responsibility. You don't like something, you just either kill the tribe or kill the people that are there and just say, hey, you take ownership.
See, when he's saying like you guys, like your ancestors, you guys, what are you talking about? What ancestors? Like where? Like you have to trace it back to if you were here when the United States started or from the Mayflower. What are you talking about? Every tribe took another tribe's land sometime at one point, okay? What about the Ashanti tribe? I'm not even going to call him Lucas anymore. You know what I'm going to call him? Osei Tutu, okay? Osei Tutu, the Ashanti tribe. The Ashanti tribe, for 200 years, which is, I believe, present-day Ghana, okay? It's, their state lasted from 1701 to 1901, modern-day Ghana. There's also parts of the Ivory Coast. They started in the late 17th century. Osei Tutu, he was the ruler. He oversaw a massive Asante territorial expansion. Expanded all over this area in Western Africa. They conquered all these areas, meaning they took over tribes, right? They didn't like these tribes and they took them over. They wanted access to the Gulf of Guinea and the Atlantic Ocean coastal trade with Europeans. The Ashanti Empire was mainly based on the trade of gold and agricultural exports and slave trade. I mean, these people, this was a rough empire right here, the Ashanti Empire. Here's a little snippet about the Ashanti Empire.
Slavery was a long-standing tradition in the Ashanti Empire, with slaves typically taken as captives in warfare or on raiding parties. The Ashanti Empire was the largest slave-owning and slave-trading state in West Africa during the Atlantic slave trade. Osei Kwadwo, who ruled until 1774, and he greatly expanded the harvesting of slaves for the European markets by military conquest and treaties with neighboring tribes who paid tribute with slaves. Therefore, constant warfare and territorial expansion reduced domestic discontent. Victory acquired the kingdom more land and wealth, and the Europeans acquired more slaves.
So how do we know you didn't do this to yourself, Osei Tutu? How do we know what your ancestors did? Like, what are you talking about? This guy's freaking nuts, man. I'm watching this as Mardi Gras thing.
A lot of people need to know that Native Americans helped black people escape slavery. So, this is how we're dressing like in the pay homage.
Man, I love the way that they just forget about like this. Like ancestors got to do this. Your ancestors got to do this. What about the ancestor that did this?
War ended with 620,000 dead. More American dead than in World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam combined. Roughly 360,000 of those deaths came from the Union side, and the vast majority of those Union soldiers were white. In total, nearly 500,000 white Americans died, fighting to preserve the nation and ultimately to abolish slavery. It was the single largest sacrifice any nation had ever made to end its own slave system.
I mean, like, what are they just forgotten about? White people just forgotten about? And then I come across this guy here and he kind of like summed it up. Like, yeah, I'm getting sick of this too, man. Like, white people did a lot, man. They did a lot. They didn't pretty much start anything, but they ended it. I mean, they were involved with stuff, yeah, like everybody was, but they sure as heck ended it. Okay, Ose Tutu, Lucas, Ose Tutu, they ended it, man. They ended it, and how about that? How about that? Should we find out, like, what if were you an ancestor of the Ashanti tribe, or I'm sure any of those other tribes that were all doing the same thing in West Africa? I mean, how do you know that? Here's a little thing with this guy Anton Daniels. I like him. He puts up some little shorts, some cool stuff here. This is I don't know where he got this guy from, but this is pretty cool. This guy gave me a little breath of fresh air here.
All right, this might hurt some feelings, but whatever. I was just scrolling through my feed and I saw a couple of posts about how white people have no culture. And I'm just over this white guilt, white shame type stuff. I'm not advocating for white supremacy. I'm just advocating the end of white silence and the end of white guilt and the end of white shame, because our culture participated in nothing that your culture hadn't participated in previously. We didn't start slavery, but we damn sure ended it. And the only place that slavery still exists are in people of color societies in Africa and the Middle East. The Vikings figured out how to circumnavigate the globe before the Islamic world ever figured out how to get their feet wet. It wasn't us that was going into Africa and pulling the slaves out. It was other Africans grabbing them and enslaving them. We invented democracy. We invented the constitutional republic. The bubonic plague wiped out half of Europe. And what did we do? We got together and discovered Western medicine and inoculations and vaccines. I'm not saying that we're better than you, but we're damn sure not worse. There are 4 major ethnic groups in this planet. There are black people, white people, Asian people, and Hispanic people. And we are the smallest. And we are the only group that you're demanding shut up. And because we're not doing it anymore, you're just going to scream racist louder and louder and louder. And we are done caring. We are not ashamed of who we are. We are not better than you, but we're damn sure no worse. And if we're so freaking terrible, then why? Why does the entire Eastern world flock to countries that we created? Answer me that.
I don't think that he's wrong. I don't think that he's wrong in feeling a level of fatigue, and that, and let's be honest, and I know that there's going to be people in the chat, and that's fine, because me having this conversation generates and hopefully inspires debate and critical thinking. But he's right in that the majority of white people in this country, unless you're a white apologist, is considered the enemy. There is nobody in America that is more villainized than white people, white men specifically. Heterosexual white men is the poster child for the villain in the United States of America. Now, I can't speak for any other country because I'm not a part of their culture and I haven't lived there for my whole life. But what I do know is that here in the United States of America, when you fail, you blame white people. When you go to jail, you blame white people that created the system. When you succeed, you take all of the credit for yourself in overcoming what white people has put in your way as an obstacle to prevent you from becoming successful.
All right, so yeah, and what Ose Tutu was saying before, we don't want kids to feel bad, about themselves, but we do want them to recognize what their ancestors did. What do you think? That's not going to make them feel bad? So that's what this other guy was saying here. What Anton Daniels had this guy up there. He was saying, like, no, what do you think it does? It makes people like not even understand about white people's culture. And I hate to say that with culture. Like, what's going on? Like, we're all Americans here. Enough is enough with this stuff. Like, I don't even like that word proud. Like, you didn't do anything to be what you are. You didn't do anything. You were born into that. What are you proud of? You're supposed to be proud of your accomplishments, right? You're driving people to force them to be proud of this stuff when you're constantly putting people down. I guess people have been put down, so they have to come out with this pride stuff. But then now you're making it happen with white people. I mean, they have no choice. It's the same thing, and you don't like it, what you hear, but that's what's happening now. See, that's what's happening. Just everybody got to that's it. You respect each other's past And that's what it is. That's all it is. It's the past, okay? And now, ancestry is just, it's over with. It's the past. We're all here in America now, and we got to start going forward, and that's it. No more past. Can't ask nobody to pay for nothing. They didn't do nothing. You don't know what no one's ancestors are, because you might be an ancestor of something that you might find out that you don't like, okay? And you probably were, because nobody came from these. I doubt there was any of these peaceful people. You think these tribes. One guy was saying, "Oh, the natives helped the blacks recover slaves." Yeah, that might have been some one peaceful tribe or something. But just about 50 years ago, before that, probably killed a bunch of tribes before that. I mean, you know what I mean? Everybody was taking stuff from everybody. I mean, there's no, history's bloody. History is dirty, man. And but we have this thing where we just want to think like only certain people were really bad, and everybody else was just these peaceful people. It ain't the case.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment on anything you liked or didn't like.